It's so bad. I just got started. Hey, did you send me? Okay, no, you didn't. You're just available. No? Taylor's traveling today, so she might not be able to respond right. Thanks for the update. No. Tuesday next week. Good. Thanks. I think I'm being called. I'm trying to get a stream started. Come on. I'm coming. There we go. Roommate's asking about groceries. Alright, let me go get my chat. That's what I'm waiting on, I think. Isn't this terrible? Like, this is the worst. This is so bad. Alright, where's my lives? But I want... Restream. Nope, not refrigerator.com. Restream. Yep, restream. Please, go. Bye, Susie, get your message. Alright, yeah, no, it's fine. Restreams.io. I got lunch, which is breakfast. I woke up at like almost 1. It said 12 whenever I looked at the phone with very blurry eyes, but then it was very quickly 1 after that. So. Zaxby's fries and sauce. That is brekkie today. Alright. Open on YouTube. There we go. Let's get our chat. Can't stay alive. You're in school? What? Whose school is... Huh? College should be way out. My public school around my area was out all this week. You got school till like Wednesday or something? That's fine. Thanks for stopping by. I always love seeing like a familiar face in the chat. Isn't it so bad? Especially like... I did a research paper in high school that ended up like touching on why male Let's Players were more popular. And it's just like, hey, people use wit as a measure of intelligence. So if you're funny, you're intelligent. And you throw this in front of a camera, and then women go, wow, intelligent human, mateable, let me watch. Yeah, so like, you know, that I'm gonna combine my wit with a male face, and we're gonna get popular. I'm gonna catfish. I'm gonna catfish these women's. I've got a plan. The gray hoodie just makes it to the next level. So bad. And then every so often, like, you get a glimpse of like, ooh, there's another face under there, but no, it just looks like my face. It's it's so bad how much of this just looks like my face. and then we lose the stubble. Stubble's gone, and then the stubble's back. But the eyes don't change. The eyes do not change. Blah. I wonder if I can do the Grinch face in this. Oh no. Oh, so bad. Alright. I know that we are close to getting this cup. I want to get this cup. We're listening to the French maid killer, which so far has killed one person in the beginning and then said that they killed someone else but left their stuff at a train station and then didn't go back for the stuff, so they murdered that person for no reason. So my dainty feminine hands just coming in your hat. I'm sorry, I can't get over the filter. I can't get over the filter. What I'm seeing as my display so I can play Mario Kart is the same thing that you're seeing. So I'm seeing Mario Kart and my face right there, and it's trippy hippie. Alright, what's good? I know I should play Mario Kart, but I'm still eating. Oh. I do like this car. This car's got, like, the traction that I'm looking for. Because I can't. Once we're at 200 speed, I'm just flying off the track. I've also messed with the mic settings, so it might be slightly better today. I've tried to move it slightly farther away from the laptop, which sounds like, which is the fan that you're hearing. Alright. There we go. Back to eating. I'm gonna start the podcast in a second. I honestly didn't think I'd be this hungry. Alright, let me start the podcast, then I can eat the rest of my fries.
Never seen again and was never identified. Yeah, but the innkeeper was like, I saw her. Like, he chased her. That's what she was wearing.
Terrible.
April 29th, 1860 was his last robbery. He did the same thing he always did to a woman named Louise Michel. But instead of walking, he insisted they take a coach together this time, and they did. But once they were on board, he was like, I don't have any money on me. You have to pay for this.
Nice.
And she was like, okay.
Like,
So,
what the fuck?
like, okay. So he just, once they got, like, in between where they were going, they got off the coach and they started walking. And he walked her to a very isolated area. All the while, he was being kind of an asshole. He was telling her to be quiet and shut up.
Rude.
Like, every time she was like, are we close? He was like, keep quiet. Like, just, bleh.
I'd be like, nah.
I'd be like, bye. But again, they're desperate.
Of
they
course.
need the money.
Yeah.
When they go to the darker area, he raised a large branch above his head out of nowhere and grabbed her by her dress. Then he demanded that she give him all her money, and she just handed it over. He took it. He waited a minute, she said, and was about to, like, she was like, I know he was about to hurt me. And then he looked around and ran.
Damn.
So he was, like, fighting another urge.
Yeah.
She reported it immediately. This is when he starts escalating a little more.
Oh, just a little
So
more.
he kept going, but that was the last reported one, like officially reported one. There was definitely more after that. There were witnesses who said they saw many more women with him once he was found out later. Like, people came forward and were like, I saw him with this woman walking with luggage, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So by February 1861, he was ready to kill again. Martin had met a woman named Marie Joseph Boussaud, who was a silk worker in Lyon. He had tried to pull the same shit with her, but she was employed as a silk worker. So she said, hey, I have a younger sister, and she'll probably be very excited about this opportunity.
Oh, God.
So she invited him to dinner in her home.
Oh, my God. She fed this man
Yeah.
in her home.
Yeah.
This guy is the worst.
The worst. He revealed the great money, the room and board. It's in a castle. It's going to be amazing. And he was explaining all this to her younger sister, Marie Eulalie. And she was so excited.
Of course she was.
And she was like a young girl, like...
Probably like her first job.
Yeah, it's like she's like basically teens kind of thing. And she already had a job at the time as a domestic servant to a family in Lyon, but this was paying more. And she was like ready. She was like, let's go. They had dinner, and then Martin and her sister helped pack her up to go.
Oh.
Before they left, Marie Eulalie asked Martin if it would be okay for her sister to visit from time to time.
Oh, this is like hurting my heart.
And Martin said, certainly. And besides, I shall pay her fare and that of the children. He's such a fucking monster.
Fuck this guy.
So they left the next day and headed towards the village of Pizet. They got to the forest of the communes outside of the village and started trekking through it. They made it to a clearing, and he attacked her out of nowhere.
Oh no.
He hit her on the head several times with something blunt, making giant and severe lacerations and bruises to her head and face. She was raped, and her earlobes had actually been torn away from her head during this.
Holy
He was
shit.
yeah, that's how brutal he was.
Oh my god.
He took her clothing and all of her belongings with him and then went back to Marie Anne and told her, I just killed another girl. I got to get my shovel. And he grabbed his shovel and left.
What the fuck? This lady's a piece of shit.
Yeah. May 26, 1861, very late in the evening, Monsieur Joly was at home when there was a series of loud and frantic knocks at his farmhouse door.
Farmers.
This was the Joly farm in Balin, which was a very small and very quiet village, so this was very unusual. He, opened the door kind of, peeking out of it. He was like, what the hell's going on here? When he saw a woman crying, bruised, bloody, and panicked. Her clothing was ripped and strewn all over her, and she was begging for help. And this is not Marie Eulalie. Oh. Marie Eulalie was killed.
Oh, no.
This is Marie Pichon. And she said, I'm Marie Pichon. And she said she had met a strange man at the train station in Lyon. He had approached her, said he was a gardener at a chateau in a nearby county, and he said he had been sent into Lyon by his master of the chateau because he was looking to recruit a domestic servant. He asked her for nothing of her qualifications, but immediately told her she could have the job. It would pay
200 francs.
250 francs a year.
She was down.
Like, holy shit, that's great. And they got on a train together.
No.
Then as they got to a village near Montluel, they got off to walk. Immediately, it was here that she was having second thoughts, she said. She had a heavy trunk with her, but he said they could get it later, and he left it at the train station.
Not again.
So that's it. This is how we know what his plan was here.
Right.
So he just left it there, red flag number one.
Yeah.
Then, she said, as they were walking, he would just randomly pick up rocks and stones and large sticks.
What the fuck?
And she said he had tried to, quote, pull a stake out of the ground on which the vine grows.
Why?
Oh. And she was like, okay. So she asked him several times, where, are we close? Where exactly is this?
And what the fuck are you doing with the rocks?
What are you doing with all that? And he would just say, be quiet, we'll be there soon.
Fuck off.
Then she noticed that he all of a sudden had started going slower and was falling paces behind her. Mm-hmm. We know exactly what he's about to do. He's about to hit her behind her head. This is his MO.
Yep.
Luckily, she was able to notice all this. And she said it was here that she stopped and said, I see you have deceived me. I will go no further. To which he replied, we have arrived. As soon as he said, we have arrived, he threw a literal, it's called a lariat, but a lasso, essentially, around her neck and tried to strangle her.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
The second I'm not even joking you, the second you said we have arrived, my stomach actually flipped.
Can you imagine? You're like, you know what? You're bullshitting me. I see that I'm not going any further, and he just says, we've arrived. And you're in the middle of nowhere.
And
that's
also just
a fairy tale demon.
Fuck you.
Okay.
Well, and luckily, he's a lumbering oaf, so she saw this coming. She saw a noose, essentially, coming, so she was able to throw her hands up over her neck to form a barrier between her neck and the rope.
So smart.
So she was able to pull it out a little bit and not have it strangle her, but he was pulling it, trying to get it tighter and tighter, and he's cutting her hands with the rope. Oh. And she told him, she tells this farmer that she escaped after a terrible fight for her life. They had fallen to the ground and she had been able to slip out of it, and she just ran. And she said, he chased me all the way to this farmhouse. I threw myself at your door. When he saw you coming to the door, that's when he ran.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Farmers, man. I gotta get... I wonder if we should just pop through commercials. No commercial, I guess.
Which, imagine if that man, hadn't been inside.
Yeah, seriously. He was horrified. The farmer was like, oh my god. And he called the country guard, local law enforcement in Balin. And when they came to the Joly farm, she told them the story and described him as, quote, a man from the country dressed in a blue blouse and a black hat with a high crown. She said he was huge, and his shoulders were stooped over, and he had a scar on his upper lip.
Mm-hmm.
So they're listening to this, and they're like, wow. And this is the
frick.
local law enforcement. This isn't Leon,
Right.
where he is from. This is like the local one.
And he just dipped.
Exactly. So they're listening, and they're like, huh, that's weird. This sounds like this guy that's like been in town lately. His name's Raymond. Yeah.
Are you shitting my dick?
Or Raymond. Yeah. Yeah. So then as the story went on, they realized, yeah, like this sounds like what happened to the other women too. Like it must be Raymond.
Killing in your dead brother's name is a new fucking level of low.
Your dead little baby brother's name.
Like, wow.
It's like he used that.
I forgot that was a thing. Holy crap. That's... The whole background's wiggling. Weird. Alright. I was like, yeah. Who is Raymond? Was that the guy that we looked at who went on the date with, like, the first woman? No. His baby brother. And, like, the whole village made fun of it. 3-year-old traumas. You know those.
Punishment that they gave him and, like, turned it into a punishment against everybody else, almost.
Yeah, that's...
It's like this weird psychology thing.
Definitely.
No, not again.
So this was only... This is just wild. So Magistrate Janou was starting to connect all of these, obviously. He'd been working on this for years at this point. And especially with that physical description, he was like, we gotta get this guy. So they're determining he's likely from the area, he knows it well, he's able to escape so quickly, he's agile, even though he's huge, and he can, like, easily navigate these forests, these side roads, like, you know, and he's going undetected. So they determined from the reports that this man, again, was huge, he had a noticeably unusual gait, he dressed in, like, kind of like domestic worker clothes or very casual plain farming clothes and that upper lip thing. So that's what they were looking for. And they begin their search for this man in Denou, where Mary Pichon had been attacked and almost murdered. When they spoke to the people there, they all said that description sounded like Martin Dumoyard,
Wouldn't you know it?
who had lived in the village for several years. And they all said he and his wife Marie Anne were kind of despised, actually, and they fought a lot, were very loud, horrible to each other, like screaming matches.
Surprising.
They said that he was just like, they were just not nice, like they were not nice people. And they also said they noticed, quote, the unexplained and mysterious absence of the husband from his house at nights. And when he would come back, they said they always saw him with new stuff, like trunks and luggage.
Like, after a while, that's gonna start to cause some alarm bells to go off, dude.
Like, what are you doing? How are you just bringing trunks and luggage home all the time?
Right, like, luggage is expensive.
Yeah. They were also able to find out that he had been arrested for robbery before. So they went off to Martin's house to chat with him.
Ding dong.
They were like, yeah, this is definitely the guy as soon as they saw him.
Yeah.
They have a busted
But he
upper
was
lip?
like, no, I wasn't out the night of Marie's attack.
Yeah.
But when they asked both him and Marie Anne what was going on that night, neither one of them had come up with a story.
Oh, no.
So they were flustered and started contradicting each other.
I love
Like
it.
they couldn't even keep a story straight.
Good.
Then they started just doing a quick search of the home. Missing girls' items and girls who had reported attacks items were everywhere, including Mary Pichon's.
They're just not
Martin
good at
was
it.
arrested immediately and taken to a jail in Trevaux. And Marie Pichon was brought in, and she identified him as the man who robbed and tried to murder her. So investigators returned to the Dumoyard home to conduct a more thorough search. And in addition to items matching the description of Mary Pichon's belongings, they found, quote, innumerable quantities of clothing worn by servant girls, several which appeared to have been soaked with blood. And from the sizes and colors, it appears they belong to different people. Among the items found, there were as many as 40 bonnets,
Jesus.
57 pairs of stockings, 14 dresses, tons of corsets, petticoats, chemises. They found 560 items that were stolen from random women.
What's a chemise?
I think it's like stuff you wear underneath.
Oh, okay.
I think.
I'll Google it.
I was gonna say because I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
I didn't know if it was one of those puffs that you put your hands in.
No, I don't think so. At least.
Let me see.
But only 60 of those things were identified as having belonged to specific victims.
Damn.
Yeah, so they had a ton of stuff that came from either missing girls, murdered women, or women that weren't even reported yet.
That's so fucked up.
You're doing
And
so
you were
good,
correct, it was undergarments.
It is, okay, that's what I thought. And it's like a flimsy undergarment, right?
Yeah, it's like a white, like, long shirt.
Yeah. So now they interviewed Marie Ann because what the fuck?
Right.
They knew she was part of this whole thing. She was even wearing a victim's dress.
I was gonna say, I know that she was trying this shit on left and right.
At first, she said she knew nothing and just thought that he had bought, you know, all those pretty blood-soaked items for her.
Delish.
Yeah, it's like, where the fuck did you think he got those?
Right.
Magistrate Janou kept pushing her because he knew this was bullshit. And she finally said, you know what? I'm afraid of him. He has a violent temper. So I do what he wants me to do, and I sell these items, or I do what he wants me to do. That is not true.
No.
They were very much both in on this. Now, he at this point is denying... He's not denying everything, but he's, like, not admitting to everything either.
He's, like, in this weird middle ground.
Like, he's not being like, I've done nothing wrong. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, sure, I've robbed people.
Okay.
Like, he's just, like, not going to give you the whole thing.
I was gonna say, he's not showing all his cards.
Exactly. But Marie Ann, started selling him down the river.
Good.
Pretty quickly.
Like, I hate her, but good.
Yeah. She told them one night he came home from being gone for days and gave her a pair of his own pants that were soaked in blood. And he told her, make sure these are never found. And she was like, when asked if she knew about the murders, she said, yes, I did. And when asked, in your opinion, his motives for murdering those girls was to violate their persons, she said, yes, sir. And then she said, I said so, and I think so yet.
Wow.
She said she knew where bodies were, and she led them to a couple of bodies.
And she's like, yeah, I just, I didn't know anything was going on.
Yeah, whoops. And then she's like,
crazy.
actually, yeah.
Like, if you know where your husband's burying bodies and you're in on it,
you're into it.
And
don't do that.
That's the thing. So she led them to actually the forest of the communes to where Marie Eulalie's body was found. She was buried 5 feet underground.
Wow.
And he had done it
big
in
hole.
the winter when the ground is frozen.
Holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like massive.
He's an oaf. Also, they found more disturbing details about her death. She had fractured fingers, which they believe she got when she fell after being hit. And also, one of her hands was clutched around like clay from the ground. Like she had grabbed at the ground. And they said they believed that Martin had buried this poor girl alive. He had fractured her skull, raped her, and then buried her alive. And she had clawed at the clay.
Oh.
Yeah. And they were able to show her sister some of the items from the Dumoyard home, and she confirmed that these belonged to her sister.
Her poor sister, because it's obviously not her fault in any way, shape, or form.
She was trying to give her a better life. She thought she was doing her a favor.
Exactly, with the survivor's guilt she must have had.
God.
Oh, I can't.
Unreal.
That poor girl.
Unreal.
Oh,
now, Marie Ann was put in jail as an accomplice, and she did admit finally to knowing everything.
Yeah, rotten jail.
Martin Dumoyard was charged because they couldn't find... They were trying to gather as many as they could, but they just ended up charging him with 15 counts, including robbery, murder, and attempted murder.
40 bonnets, though.
So the trial. Martin and Marie Ann's trial began on January 29th, 1862, at the Assize Court of Bourg. It was a circus. Crowds of people came to see. Somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 spectators came. It was wild. They had like 70 witnesses in this case. Like, it was wild. And according to the Morning Post, Martin came to court with, quote, his hair and beard looking unkempt. And the press described him as regarding, quote, the court audience with a dull and stupid gaze. His countenance depicting only the lowest passions.
Yeah, fuck him.
The press was all over what he looked like.
They always
saying Martin was, quote, stupid looking.
Yeah,
his features are coarse, his eyes, forehead, and a very projecting chin only denote their basest development. So they were, like, pretty gnarly.
They're pretty gnarly. It's also, like, so easy to go after somebody else's looks. Like, get creative.
That's the thing. It's like, I don't know, maybe you can make fun of the fact that he's, like, a disgusting murderer.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, by all means. He's an ugly monster.
Of course.
For sure. But it's like, that's such a low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Like, it's just like, we know what he looks like.
Right.
Talk about what a fucking monster he is.
Exactly.
He's awful.
Like, he's depraved.
Yeah.
He's vile. He's just, like, go with that shit, you know?
Because it's like, if he looked like that and he wasn't raping and murdering anyone, that would be really fucking mean to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know we make fun of murderers, and, like, we should.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's like, that's just that particular one. I'm like,
no.
Can you throw in anything about him being a murderer, too?
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, let's
add it in there.
Let's make fun of the things that make him a terrible human, not
Say
the things.
he's an ugly murderer.
Yeah.
Just add it in there.
Yeah.
Now, when questioned about their marriage on the stand, they told Martin that witnesses said they heard screams from their home.
What?
And he was asked directly, do you abuse your wife?
I'm sure he did.
And he replied, never in the nighttime.
What?
And then he said, it was always in daytime.
Does that make it better? Like, what?
What, sir?
What?
Yeah. And the prosecutors were like, okay, well, your problems, according to your wife, are because you have a loose way of living. And he was like, I guess so. Yeah. So they brought in victims' families who identified the items found in the Dumoyard home. And they said, yes, those are the ones belonging to my missing loved ones. And these are ones that either they've found the bodies or ones that just are missing. Yeah. And they have now picked out those items and said, those are my missing loved ones. So it's like, where are they?
Right.
And there was also survivors there who had all positively identified him as that's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to claim at this point he really just reached for the stars.
Oh, God.
And he was like, okay, yeah, I did this. And he was like, but here's the thing. I did this because I was paid to provide these girls to a vicious band of 3 men who gave me all their belongings and money in return for bringing them the women, excuse me.
Yeah, totally.
That did not happen.
What happened to the ones that you killed then?
Exactly. And you showed up at the house and said to your wife, I just killed a girl. Right. I gotta get the shovel. What was that about?
Yeah.
So altogether, they believed he murdered at least 6 young women.
Wow.
3 had been found, and then there was evidence of that one that he said that was his niece at the inn, who was never seen again. Then there was also an unidentified woman in Mount Maine Woods, besides Eulalie, and another in St. Croix Mill. Apparently, they found another one who was unidentified that they believe is attributed to him. I couldn't find the names of these. This is from the 1800s, so the reporting on it is not exactly like up to snuff.
Yeah.
But the trial lasted 3 days, and now Martin was claiming that this band of 3 killers was now 80 people.
Oh,
deep.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. And the crowd was like going nuts, being like, this guy's an idiot. Like, are you kidding me? No one believed this random story because it was changing daily as well. And his wife had already sold him up the river and then some. And in fact, the authorities believe that she was way more involved than just covering up and selling the items.
I do too.
On one day of the trial, they had a woman named Isard who was called to testify. And she testified about a conversation she overheard when she was sharing a cell with Marie Anne. And she said this was in the weeks leading up to the trial. And according to her, Martin had approached the bars from the yard one day. And she heard him say to Marie Anne, I don't know why it begins with hussy. Hussy, what have you done? If I wanted to say as much as you did, they would cut off your neck as well as mine. Ooh. So that's him being like, you are just as guilty as I am.
I mean, she is.
Also, she was wearing some of the dead victims' clothing.
Right.
And she had led the guards to locations of the buried bodies.
Yeah.
They were in remote areas.
Yeah.
She was likely there when they were buried. He was not giving her this detailed of instructions of where he left.
Yeah, like 6 spaces to the left and then 4 miles
exactly.
out. Like, no.
And the authorities were like, she had to have been there. There's no way.
It also makes sense then that one of the girls was buried 5 feet deep in the middle of the winter. They did that together.
He had help.
There's no, like, yeah, he's a big guy and like he probably could have done it, but now I'm like, no, she was
now
probably
it makes a little more sense that there might have been 2 shovels there. On February 1st, 1862, the jury deliberated, and when they returned, they announced that they found both Martin Dumoyard and his wife, Marie Anne, guilty.
Yeah.
Judge M. Marahat, I'm saying this wrong, I'm sure, and I apologize.
But you tried.
I am giving it my all. Returned from his chambers and read his decision. He said Dumoyard is sentenced to death and his wife to 20 years hard labor.
Good work, bitch.
The prosecutor added that the execution, quote, should take place at a public place by means of beheading.
Yikes.
Now, on March 7th, 1862, the guillotine/guillotine, which one do you say? This keeps coming up in my life. I don't know why.
Guillotine is a joke.
I think guillotine sounds better.
I think we need to ask
I think we
French
have
person.
asked.
All right, I just gotta speak. All right, first of all, hey yo, look, I did it! Haha! Now we only got one left. Two, he's got 40 bonnets. All right, like I'm not skipping over that number. He's at least. I'm not gonna say that women travel around with more than like 2 bonnets, right? Like I feel like you have 1 bonnet, maybe 2 bonnets. Okay. He's got 40 bonnets. I'm gonna say like 36 people at least. I want to say 40 people, all right? Because then you have the women who's not traveling around with the bonnet. That was a slow start. I think I need off-roading wheels. Like what? Ooh, background getting weird. Like he's got 40 bonnets. We're not gonna cover that. I had a third fact and I forget which fact that was. They're deliberating. Oh no, I lost my train of thought. I think it was something that they were just saying. Oh yeah. It's guillotine. That the proper way is guillotine, and then we say guillotine sometimes as a joke because that's the way it's spelled. It's guillotine. There we go.
So maybe we'll get an answer, but I think I've said guillotine my whole life, but guillotine does sound like it's smoother.
I've always said guillotine.
But, you know, it was brought into Montluel, and Martin drank a cup of coffee that day. He had a final glass of wine. He was able to have dinner with Marie Anne before his execution.
Weird.
Yeah. And March 8th, in front of a crowd of over 8,000 people.
Damn.
And they had done the thing where taverns sold, like, tickets. And
God.
all these, like, apartment places, like, that were selling tickets out of windows, like, you know, that
It's like
kind of
today's
thing.
fireworks shows when they, like, rent out a parking space.
He said his final words, which were, "I pray for other people. I die innocent."
Yeah.
Not so much, my dude.
I don't know about that.
He went to the guillotine cool and unconcerned, according to press. And then he kneeled before it, kissed the crucifix, and was beheaded at 6 a.m. His head was actually sent to Lyon Medical School.
Huh.
And it got lost at one time in history.
How do you lose somebody's whole ass head?
And it was found again in the 1960s.
Somehow.
Isn't that
Where?
wild?
Where was it found?
I'm not really sure. It was like in the archives somewhere, I guess.
Oh,
It's
they
like
just put it-
wild.
It's like when you put something in like a good spot and then
Yeah.
you forget what that good spot was.
John does that on the daily.
Yeah, so does
on the
Ash
daily.
Kell
Yeah.
right here.
But you can actually Google it if you want to. It's like a mummified head. It's nothing like gruesome or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I actually I saw it by mistake and
It's very
I thought
interesting.
It was fake.
Yeah. Turns out, like I said, this is when they
hit it.
found out that split lip he had was a tumor. That's how they found
How
out.
benign.
It was benign.
was wondering how they
But
figured it
Marie
out.
Anne was sent to Auberive prison, I think it is.
That sounds
In the
right.
northeastern region of France. She had to do daily hard labor. She had many illnesses, and she died in 1875 in prison. Also, Madame Tussauds wax museum,
Yeah.
she made a wax tableau of him for her Chamber of Horrors exhibit. Remember, she had done a couple of them before.
Huh.
Yeah, that was like a big thing in the 1800s.
Oh,
In like early 1900s, her Chamber of Horrors exhibit was like
that's kind of cool.
basically like I don't even know how to describe it. It was just these wild tableaus of like real killers, which is like,
Oh, like it was all real killers?
I think it was all real killers.
Oh, I thought like
like horror movies now.
Yeah, that's why I
that
said
would
it was
be
cool. Sorry.
No, that's why I was like, I'm pretty sure it's like
You were like, you are not picking up what I'm putting
you will
down.
not think this is cool.
No, that's not.
If it was like horror,
How old is Madame Tussauds then? Huh. Like, I guess wax is like an old thing. All right. I just like the song "Meltdown at Madame Tussauds," but man.
movies, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
But that is the case of the French-made killer, Martin Dumoyard. I apologize for all the French mispronunciations.
I think
Oh,
you did a
French.
great job.
Did my
have a rainbow
best.
roast?
French is
but
hard.
It's really hard. I want to take French though, so I'm
Use
gonna make
Babbel.
it up to you.
Use the
I'll use
best.
Babbel and I'll take some French and I'll make it up to all of you. I gave it my best.
Well, guys, we hope you keep listening.
And we hope you
keep
it weird.
But that's where you help your husband murder a bunch of people and then say that you didn't help him because I don't believe you. And also not so weird that, like, after you killed 1 million people and you're about to get beheaded, you kiss the cross and say that you pray for everybody because, like, I don't need your prayers.
No, we don't.
Bye.
Bye.
So sassy. Okay, so I think that this is the Rainbow Road that is most manageable by me. I think I fell down only once that last time. Right? Like, as long as I don't try to go too fast, I might be able to get this. There we go. And like every so often it gives me a long stretch for me to go fast on.
Hey, Prime members,
Hey,
you
shut
can
up,
listen to Morbid early
like-
and ad-free on
Ah,
Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app today. Or you can listen early and ad-free with Wondery Plus and Apple Podcasts. Before you go, tell us about yourself by completing a short survey at Wondery.com/survey. Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Morbid early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
You know I'm here to talk to you about Peloton.
You're always here to talk to me about
okay,
Peloton.
this-
I love my Peloton. I'm looking at my Peloton
I'm sorry,
right
we're
now.
just gonna
How
go
are
through
you
the ads.
over there?
I'm on
You
hyper-focus
cheeky
mode.
little thing.
You cheeky little thing, and that reminds me, Peloton instructors are so
okay,
motivating.
Okay, we were so
Their
close, we were
inspiring
so
words
close.
stay
We
with
had
you
that- we had that
long
first for a
after
while.
your workout. And I can tell you right now,
Okay. The fact that like I'm getting thirds, I'm feeling better because like that first one we were just like hanging out in 12th for the. I don't feel too terrible about this. I feel like this one might be like a quicker one, like the last one was. All right, next episode. Let's see where.
I am a Bradley Rose purist. I've said it before.
I can attest to
Yeah,
that.
I will
chill,
say
chill,
it again.
chill.
And I think
Elena,
one
chill.
of the most motivating things.
Thank you, Chill. We're kind of running out of these because I kind of skip over all the guest ones. Oh, I am touching the mic. I am sorry. I skip all over the guest ones and the listener tale ones. French Maid Killer. Yeah, that's the one we just did. The Terrifying Amusement Parks with Holly. The Murder of Sherry.
Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Morbid early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
You know I'm here to talk to you about Peloton.
You're always here to talk to me about Peloton.
Those riders, you do it, and they give you that. You're like, hell yeah! 30-day home trial.
Music wherever you get your...
You're so loud. You're so loud.
I was like, I look over and she was literally just looking at me. I was like, do you know your name?
I zoned so hard for a second.
You were looking right at
Wow.
me too. I was like, whoa.
I was looking through you and at you all at
wow.
once.
Wow, girl.
Wowzers.
It's kind of like the LAPD. They were literally looking at the suspect in this case right in the eyes, but they didn't even know it.
Look at you with the segues.
I am a Segway sister.
And what is it that and that's why we drink calls them? They call them like segues or something.
Segues,
they
do they?
call them something really hilarious, and they came
love
up
that.
with it. And it's
Segues.
and I think of it every time someone says Segway. So shout out to them.
That's funny. I love them. I think of Paul Blart Mall Cop whenever I think of a Segway.
Yes.
Both wonderful, wonderful things.
Truly, truly.
Well, yeah, I am remaining in a place of LAPD with my case this week.
Oh boy.
I was there last week, and here I am again. And
a
my
lot.
case, it's the most. My case this week is the murder of Sherry Rasmussen.
Ooh.
And this was a case that went cold for a long, long, long time, but then finally was reopened thanks to some new guys on the squad.
Some new guys on the squad.
New guys on the...
Every so often I'm hearing like a squeak. But not like a high pitched squeak, but like a swing squeak. Is it just like me? Is it this? What am I hearing? Can y'all hear that? I'm gonna pop my ear out of this. I need to change this filter. It's way too distracting. It's distracting me. It's like, hi, it's me. Hello, ha. Oh, wait. Ha. Alright. Thought I could do like the cool dad thing. I could kind of. Oh, it's trippy. It's like that. Can you? It does the face change? The eyes don't move.
On the street, so should we get into it?
No.
Well, what are we gonna do then?
Let's just chat.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
I'm on like...
Wait, are you like? I feel like you're like meing right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm having a moment.
I feel like I'm Elena and you're Ash.
Yeah.
You're ashing.
I'm ashing right now.
At least, yeah, you're not ashy. You're just ashing.
I'm just ashing.
And you're dashing.
I'm dashing too.
One might even say smashing.
Through the snow.
And I went, what's so peaceful?
Ooh, it's the holiday season. It's the
Holiday season. I wonder how many times I said that last year.
A lot.
This year, you guys should drink every time I say it.
But then you might die, and
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
to
don't
you.
do that actually.
Yeah,
And
don't do that.
If you are gonna do it, make sure that you're 21 and that you're responsible and that you're not gonna be driving. Yay!
Woo!
Thanks, Ash.
All right, so let's talk about it. Actually, I decided we should talk about it.
Okay, let's go. All right, so like I
It's
said,
a late night recording, everybody. Late night recording, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Let's get into this.
So, like I said, remaining in a place of LAPD, and we are going to be talking today about the murder of Sherry Rasmussen. So Sherry was just 29 years old when she was killed.
Oh, jeez.
And she had only been married to her husband, John, for 3 months.
John.
I was about to say we love a John. I love a John, but I'm gonna keep it there.
I'm gonna not show my cards yet.
Okay.
So John and Sherry had met 2 years before our story starts, and they instantly hit it off. John had just recently graduated from UCLA. I don't know
Whoa.
why, but I feel like I always have to say it very like
I was
UCLA.
gonna say, what just happened there?
It's just the letters.
Yeah, they're like kind of aggressive.
UCLA.
UCLA.
Do you see
LA? Yeah,
You do.
I see it.
And so did John. He graduated from there.
Wow.
He got his degree in mechanical engineering. And Sherry, she was already well established in her field, which was nursing. She had actually enrolled in college classes when she was only 16 years old
Oh, okay.
and became a full-blown nurse when she was 20.
what?
By the time she met John, she was actually already the director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center.
What a badass.
She was an absolute badass.
Oh, and look how pretty
Hey.
she looks in her nurse's uniform. Like she looks like
beautiful.
the quintessential. You know?
So true. Sherry's mother, Loretta, later said of her, she liked taking care of people and making sure things were done right, that people were cared for properly. Like, this woman was a nurse because she genuinely cared about people.
She has those kind of kind eyes. Doesn't very
Friendly.
It's just kind.
It is.
Yeah.
Kind and friendly. And even her father said, he elaborated on what her mother said of her, and he said that Sherry told him, I'm going to elevate the stature of nursing in the nation. And he said that
Whoa.
she was well on her way to do so.
Aw.
Her parents absolutely loved her. Her 2 sisters adored her. Everybody in her family was beyond proud of her. And John was also very impressed with not only her work ethic and her drive, but her beauty. Like we were just saying, Google a picture of Sherry.
Yeah.
You'll be in awe. She was gorgeous. And they had a lot in common too. They were interested in the same things. They both loved running. Their lives really matched up with one another's. And of course, their relationship had its hiccups, which we will definitely get into. But by all accounts, the two of them were really happy and overall loved each other. But the morning of February 24th, 1986 would change absolutely everything. So John was headed into work that morning, while Sherry debated whether or not she was going to go in, because that morning she'd been called in to supervise a human resources class for the nurses, and she just really...
I'm tangenting. We just did the case before with the basement or the attic lover. I thought that the wife had done it, but I thought that she had done it on purpose. So the fact that it was kind of accidental was a surprising thought. I know that's from like 2 episodes ago, two live streams ago, but like still, the brain just came through here. Thought I'd let you know.
didn't feel like going in.
Okay.
You know, just it wasn't for her
It
that
happens,
day.
man.
You know, you wake up and you're like, fuck this.
Yeah, sometimes
got
you just need a
cramps.
you day.
Ugh, and
Mental
you know
health
what?
day.
Take those days.
Self-care, man.
Self-care. Don't take too many of those
Yeah,
days
don't
because
take
you'll
too
lose your
many.
job.
Yeah.
But take
But
a couple of those days every now and again.
You deserve that day.
You certainly do. But John said, he was like, I don't know, I think you should just go in and get it over with. Like, you know, let's
Yeah.
just get it done with.
And with those few words of advice, he was off to start his own day. He had some dry cleaning to drop off before work, and then he was heading right into work. So he left the townhouse that they owned together around 7:20 in the morning. Now, later that morning, he called home to see if Sherry had gone in or not, and when he didn't get an answer, he assumed that she must have gone into work. So he called her office, but he was told by her secretary that she actually hadn't seen Sherry in the office that day. So you might think that's weird. I thought that was a little weird when I first read that, like her secretary didn't see her. But this wasn't...
Hey, yo, Colors in the Box, welcome to the chat. You like my filter? It's a monstrosity, but it's phantasmal. I'm having way too much fun of it. We're listening to murder. May not be your cup of tea. Do not advise to children. That's all I'm saying. But it's good to see a familiar username in the chat.
Weird to John or Sherry's secretary because this day was a Monday, which meant that Sherry would actually spend her day going along to teach different classes. Okay. So it wasn't unlike her secretary to not see her on a Monday. It was a busy day for her.
Because she was just kind of bopping around.
Exactly. So John just figured that in the hectic going-ons that Sherry's secretary had just missed her. So he tried her at home a couple more times that day, and he didn't get any answer, which did make him slightly nervous, but at the time he didn't want to overreact. Maybe she'd just gone out to run errands after work, something like that.
Everybody's been there where you're like, I'm not going to go straight to the worst case scenario because I don't want to.
But it is in the very back of my mind.
Yeah, always.
So John got home later that night, and things were off when he pulled up to their garage. The garage door was left open, which was weird in and of itself. And what was stranger was that Sherry's BMW that he'd gifted her after they got engaged was gone. So for a second, John rationalized that, you know, she's just off running errands. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
But then he saw broken glass scattered upon the driveway.
Oh.
And would later realize that their balcony door on the second floor of the townhouse had been smashed to pieces. Ooh. And that's what this glass was for.
That's not good.
And as for the door leading into the home, wide open. Something was very off here, and there was nothing left to rationalize.
Oh, what a scary, scene to come home to.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
So John entered the home cautiously, and he immediately found his wife, 29-year-old Sherry Rasmussen, laying dead on the living room floor.
Aw, Sherry.
She was still dressed in the oversized t-shirt.
Where am I? I'm in my room, bro. New background. I need water. Like, I can feel my head slowing down. I'm gonna go grab some water, RQ, and then I'll be back. Peace. Okay, I'll be back. I haven't done this in, like, months. Man. It is so cold in my room compared to the rest of the house. Like, I know I have this electric blanket, but perhaps I should also put something else on, because it's cold. Oh, it's so cold. Okay, get my hood back on for that classic look. Tried so hard to not have ice to crunch on, but, you know. Here we are. I need water, so I got a cup of ice. Yeah. Elephants are capable of swimming 20 miles a day. Yeah, I figured, because your name is Colors in the Box. Color in the Box. Or Colors in the Box. So the username was similar. Boop. If I remember, you're like 12 or something. So this podcast, really not advised for you to be here. It's good to see you're here, however. You've been advised. Your mother cannot get mad at me. There we go.
That she'd gone to sleep in the night before, and she was wearing a robe that she usually wore when she was kind of bopping about in the morning getting ready for her day. Her arms were raised up slightly, like she'd been in defense mode up until the last second, and one of her legs was slightly bent at the knee. Her face showed very obvious signs of a very intense beating, like insane. And John also saw evidence of at least one gunshot wound to her chest, which was in the center of her chest.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
It would later be revealed that she was shot 3 times in the chest.
Hey, yo.
When John reached out to touch her, she was already cold, and when he checked for any other signs of life, there were none. So he raced to the phone and he dialed 911. Now, it was immediately clear that the LAPD wanted to write this crime off as some kind of home invasion gone wrong.
Huh.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, no, I've never heard them say things like that.
Yeah, even last week it wasn't a home invasion gone wrong.
And especially in like the 80s, you never heard of them getting anything wrong.
No, never.
They were on top of everything.
Yeah, spoiler alert, this is not a home invasion gone wrong.
Yeah.
My steering keeps going off. It's like it's not connecting with a switch right or something. It's like I try to turn one way, it's going the other. But I have tilt controls on! No, I don't. Alright, I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know not a lot about that.
No.
Looks like a home invasion gone wrong.
That's the thing.
It would have gone very wrong. With
Yeah.
the beating and the shots to the chest. Yeah.
And we're going to get into,
Yeah.
how none of that really makes sense. But there had been other burglaries in the area, and the culprit hadn't been caught yet. So the investigators, they kind of looked about the scene, and they realized that this was a home invasion, they said. They believed that the home was broken into by 2 men, and Sherry caught them off guard by being home, at which point they became violent with her and shot her to death. Sherry's murder was one of 831 reported homicides in LA that year.
Wow.
And we know what happens when certain places have too much of a caseload.
Yep.
Important details fall by the wayside, and that is exactly what happened here. Sherry's case would promptly be placed on the back burner for the remainder of the 80s and the 90s.
That's wild.
And it would remain a cold case until 2009.
Wow.
Almost 22 years later, when new investigators finally gave it the attention it deserved all along. Now, ultimately, Sherry's killer would be put away for good, even though said killer was one of the LAPD's very own.
What?
No.
Yup. But before we get to the conclusion, we've got to get to the nitty-gritty in the middle and the initial quote-unquote investigation. So Detective Lyle Mayer was the homicide detective initially assigned to Sherry's case, and he arrived immediately to survey the scene. He noted that it looked like Sherry had been badly beaten to the face. It really wouldn't take a professional to
eye.
do so,
Yeah.
but he did. And he said that it seemed like she was struck with some kind of heavy object above her right eye.
Ugh.
There was also a very intense and very human bite mark inside her left forearm.
What?
Yeah. Home invasion.
Bite mark?
Yes, home invasion, right?
Yeah.
All burglars
shit.
bite their victims, right?
No.
What the fuck? They saw a bite mark and said this is a home invasion?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, absolutely wild.
Okay.
Not only that, she'd also been shot in the chest 3 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times for a home invasion. And they could determine that she had been shot with a .38 caliber pistol. That was the cause of death. Around 2 of the bullet holes, there were contact wounds.
Ooh, so it was close.
Yep, exactly, meaning that those shots must have been fired at point blank range. Excuse me.
You're not excused.
I wanna be. And when he saw a pink and green quilt on a nearby chair with a bullet hole through the middle of it, the detective realized what had happened here. Whoever this was must have shot Sherry once, but then worried about noise from the gunshot and used the blanket to muffle the 2 shots that were fired at point blank range.
Wow,
Like-
that's really spooky.
Firing through her blanket,
Oh.
her pink and green quilt.
And to just like make that decision too, that's just such a I hate like it's those kind of very blatant thought out decisions during these kind of acts that you're like, wow.
And I'm happy that you said those couple of words, blatant and thought out.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
a home invasion.
No.
Thought out, like
No.
you're saying that she was like she caught these people off guard, but then they
Yeah.
thought that out. No, that
just
doesn't make
seems-
sense.
Yeah, I don't know about
I
that.
can,
No. So looking around the townhouse, Detective Mayer saw that the place had been absolutely trashed. But it wasn't like ransacked. It looked like this was like a violent struggle. There was a huge stereo speaker lying overturned on the floor with its wires torn out. And the remainder of the set stood where it should be. So these had been overturned from like the top of a shelf. A vase had been smashed on the floor. Wooden shelving from the cabinets had been pulled down off of the cabinets.
Jesus.
And the television's amplifier and receiver had both been knocked over and were hanging from the TV.
Whoa.
Huh.
I can't stay on the track for some reason.
Guys,
like
did you
turning
know that over the holidays, property crime...
Turning's not doing as much as I think it should. I think that like I need to be drifting more, and I keep thinking that I can just make the turn easily, and then it just kind of stops me. Like I try to make a turn, and it just kind of slows me all the way down. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. I don't like it.
like burglaries and package thefts. I've never, luckily, so that you could get priority. It's not armed anymore, like head on in. You can also access your audio entertainment, listen to like a celebrity memoir selection of audiobooks across. Visit audible.com/morbid or text morbid to 500-500. That's audible.com/morbid or text morbid to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days. Audible.com/morbid. At the foot of the stairs which led to the second floor of the townhouse, there was a VCR and a CD player stacked on top of each other, and the CD player had a bloody fingerprint smudged onto it, and there was also blood smeared all along the wall leading up to the stairs. And like I said, one of the glass doors
auto-steering on?
that was on the second floor, which led out to the second.
That's what it is! I had smart steering on! And so whenever I tried to go straight, it would force me onto it. So smart, I figured it out. I figured it out because I'm so smart. I did it.
Or balcony had been completely
You should
smashed
do
out.
way
Yeah.
better now.
So after
the scene is like not making sense.
not at all.
And why are all of these electronics left?
Right. If this is a home invasion gone wrong, they didn't even carry one of those things out, not even the CD player.
Yeah, like you'd think they grabbed something.
Yeah, like anything, especially if it's right by the stairs.
And if you're gonna
Right.
like kill this woman during
You
a
might
home
as well
invasion,
take
you're
some
going to
stuff.
steal things.
You have the
That's the
time
whole
now.
point.
Exactly.
You came in here to steal things.
Exactly.
You killed her so that you could continue to steal things. That's weird.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So after taking in the scene and taking notes, Detective Mayer wanted to sit down with John to talk about the morning before he left and what he saw and did when he first got home and discovered Sherry's body. Essentially, he was trying to rule John out as a suspect because, as we all know, 9 out of 10 times, the husband did it, TM.
Mm-hmm.
Detective Mayer, though, was actually able to rule John out as a suspect pretty quickly.
Wow.
He's not a police officer. So it wasn't John.
Okay. All right. Good. So we all love it, John. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No. Well, we love one John.
We love thee, John.
Yeah, we love thee, John.
Yeah.
The reigning John.
The reigning John.
There you go.
So it was clear that this John was
The one who keeps saying that we love John, she's married to someone named John, and so that's what's going on here.
absolutely distraught, and he described Sherry and his marriage to her by saying that they were having the best time. Like, they loved being married.
That's sad.
To Mayer, it didn't seem like an act. He felt like this was genuine.
Okay.
So he told John, and this is a direct quote, "I believe your house was burglarized today sometime before 10 a.m. He then said that there were no signs of a forced entry, which led him to believe that the killer or killers had simply traipsed into the home expecting to find, find valuables inside, but not a person. He presumed that while one of the home invaders went around unplugging electronics from the walls, that the other person went upstairs and was met by Sherry, who probably came out of the bedroom and was caught off guard.
Oh, okay.
He then said that Sherry either ran from or traced the intruder to the dining room, and that's where the first shot was fired. Mayer thought that the shot must have gone through Sherry's body, which shattered the glass door behind her.
Oh, okay. I was wondering that one.
Okay.
So that makes sense, I guess.
And at that moment, when the other intruder heard the shots, they got startled and left, which was why the electronics were still stacked by the stairs, he said.
Okay.
Maybe. Then Sherry ran downstairs from the remaining intruder, which accounted for the blood smeared along the wall going down the stairs. But you're also leading me to believe that she'd been shot through the chest and then ran down the stairs.
Yeah.
I don't really know about that. I mean, crazier things have happened,
Yeah.
but that's a lot to assume.
Feels like a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But I see like the other pieces a little bit.
I do see the other pieces slightly. And then she was met with the killer in the living room, where they hit her over the head with the vase, which is why the vase was smashed, and then grabbed the quilt lying nearby and used it to quietly shoot her 2 more times. Then they got out of there using Sherry's BMW and abandoned the plan to rob the house in the first place.
Man, if that's what happened, that is really brutal.
And
Like a really brutal home invasion.
that's a lot to assume from just walking around for
Yeah.
a little while.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know exactly how long it took him to survey the scene, but that's a lot to conclude after being there for less than a day.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
is.
And by the way, Sherry's car would be found later, parked down the street with the keys still inside. That, Detective Mayer said, was why nothing else was missing. But he was wrong there, because one thing other than Sherry's BMW was missing.
What was it?
Her and John's marriage certificate.
What?
Yes.
What?
Okay.
But for some reason, that was left out of the original notes on the case, along with a few other details.
That's strange as fuck.
Now, sad.
Okay, so LAPD officer kills her because they're actually having an affair, or he thinks they're having an affair. It's like one of those celebrity things. Celebrity delusion. She actually is in love with me, don't you know? And then just stole it out of anger on the way out.
That this was the case, Detective Mayer headed out, and the criminologist for the LA County Coroner's Office came to the scene to examine the body. This man was Lloyd Mahaney, and he arrived around 2 a.m., and luckily he did a very thorough investigation. He found that there were multiple abrasions and contusions to Sherry's face. To him, it seemed like she'd been in a fist fight, and there was a large cut open just above her right eye. But he felt like something other than a fist had created that cut. He surmised that she may have been struck in the face with the gun that actually shot her.
Oh, jeez.
He also saw abrasions on her arms close by to her wrists, and to him, it seemed like she'd actually been tied up at some point with some kind of rope or cord.
Ooh, this gets worse and worse.
And then this is a lot, just so you know. He discovered that 2 fingernails were missing from one of her hands, and later discovered them by the front door.
I hate fingernails.
This was a brutal attack.
Oh, I don't like that at
Now,
all.
he believed that the initial gunshot wound is very...
Sorry, I sneezed in the background, but I tried to cover it, everybody.
It's okay. Bless you, bless you.
Thank you.
Now, he believed that the initial gunshot wound is very likely what killed Sherry, but he did also admit that it could have been the other 2. He didn't know.
Okay.
Now, one shot had gone completely through her body, like I said, the one that shattered the glass door behind her, presumably. And the other 2 struck through her heart and lungs, and then became lodged in her chest and spine.
Ooh.
Now,
this poor woman.
she went through the most brutal attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, her body was checked for any trace evidence like hair, dirt, fibers, anything that may someday connect them to the killer, but there wasn't much to find, unfortunately. She didn't seem to be sexually assaulted, but erring on the side of caution and wanting to be as thorough as possible, he did do a rape kit and a number of swabs and included all of them within his report. This guy was not fucking around.
I was gonna say, this coroner was on it.
He was. He also finally measured and photographed the bite mark on Sherry's arm and swabbed the injury.
I will
Wow,
need you
look at
first
this
to get
guy
this.
doing his job.
I'm saying. Noted the time and date of the collection after placing the swab into a sealed tube, initialed it, and added it to the physical evidence envelope. He noted that there was very little hemorrhaging and almost no inflammation near the wound, which led him to believe that this wound was likely inflicted right as she died.
Oh my
almost like
God.
a final, like, fuck you.
That is, I don't know what it is about that.
You know what that is? That's personal.
That's so personal. It's so degrading.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like, ugh.
Absolutely. So this examination took 4 hours. This man was thorough. And after those 4 hours, Mahaney drove the evidence and his report down to the coroner's office, having no idea that in due time, much of this hard work would be
Stop
lost,
it.
quote
Are
unquote.
You fucking kidding me?
Just lost.
He spent 4 hours collecting things that should have already been collected.
Yep.
Wow.
And then it was
Okay.
quote unquote lost. But don't worry,
Well-
it does become found.
Okay, good.
Good.
So after reviewing Mahaney's report and going over his own notes, Detective Mayer also couldn't shake the feeling that something about this case was personal. He
Yeah.
still leaned on the air of this was a home invasion,
They
but
stole the
What
marriage
home
certificate.
invasion ends with someone biting someone?
that's the thing.
That's wild to me.
He said that the level of violence and brutality was unlike anything he'd ever seen before in a robbery gone wrong.
Yeah.
But the LAPD as a whole agreed that this was the case, that this was a robbery, and that's how they pursued the case.
No, guys.
Now,
I'm here to tell you it's not.
it's not.
Yeah.
And although the investigators said that they conducted hundreds and hundreds of interviews, they never asked to speak with Sherry's own sister, Teresa, who was at the townhouse the day before Sherry was killed. They never spoke with her neighbor, Alan Tarski, who lived 20 feet away
What?
and was there right after Sherry's body was discovered. And they never spoke with her close friend Jane, who knew of somebody that Sherry was having problems with.
Okay.
Damn.
They did, however, speak with John and with Sherry's parents, but they did not interview the one main person that John had told them about and that Sherry's parents had told them about. And they treated Sherry's parents terribly when they pushed the point of speaking to this same person. Now, why wouldn't they want to speak to this one person?
I don't know.
John's ex-girlfriend, Stephanie Lazarus.
Oh,
Why wouldn't they want to talk to her?
why not?
She in the LAPD?
Most likely because she was one of their own, an LAPD
Oh.
officer.
It's a
Rookie
woman?
at the time, but one of their own, no less.
Oh.
Now-
that whole we protect our own.
Mm-hmm. Sherry's parents actually pushed the LAPD to speak with.
Okay, first of all, we just won this after just like a couple of tries. So, you know, we're fantastic in this game. Who cares what anyone says? We are very good at this game. Second of all, no, if it's a woman, biting makes sense. And stealing the marriage certificate, being an ex-girlfriend, this is 100% a celebrity crush kind of thing. Ooh, that was such a plot twist, because we're like, messy murder like this? Man. Bite mark definitely says woman to me, though. Woof. And we got that 5th place, too. Nice. Holy crap. We're still unlocking characters? Sorry, we're gonna get back to the murder in half a second. Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need to see this. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pressing all the buttons. Any buttons can make this stop. Is there any buttons that can make this stop? No, there seems to be no buttons that can make this stop. Alright, well, we'll sit back and listen to murder then.
Stephanie because, like Sherry's close friend Jane, they knew that she was having lots and lots of problems with this woman. Sherry's father, Nels Rasmussen, called Detective Mayer the day after his daughter was killed and wanted to know if they had spoken with Stephanie yet. He emphasized some of the issues that Sherry had been having with this particular LAPD officer recently, recalling 4 separate occasions where Sherry was made uncomfortable by this woman.
What?
So the first was when Stephanie stopped by Sherry and John's townhome to see if John could wax a pair of skis for her.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Like, what? Now, this was shortly before Sherry and John's wedding, and it was pretty obvious to Sherry that Stephanie wasn't there for the favor she asked for. This was about more than just skis.
Yeah.
And also, like, was that a euphemism?
Well, I'm like, what the fuck?
Weird.
Like, who asks that?
I don't.
You're
not
also
me.
in LA.
Yeah, like, what
the hell
fuck?
are you using skis for? You go unless you're going to like big.
That makes sense. California is just like a hop and a skip from like that's what California is known for. It's like there's some beaches over there which are like almost warm, but don't touch the water because you'll freeze to death. And then there's the mountains for skiing. You ski and then you come back to like absolutely no air conditioning in the entire city.
Bear or something. Like, where are you going?
Weird. Sherry was like, this is
Something's
like,
weird.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
She knew that this was about lingering feelings.
Also, go away.
Yeah, like, get out of my house.
Don't come to our house asking my soon-to-be husband to
No.
wax your skis for you.
I can promise you that those skis would be so far up your ass
Yeah.
and protruding out your mouth if you
That's-
asked my husband to
that's a
wax
no
your
for me.
fucking skis.
That is a no
I
for
can't wait
me.
until I can actually say husband.
My
though.
husband.
Not yet. But so after Stephanie left, Sherry told her soon-to-be husband just that. She was like, I'm uncomfortable with Stephanie being in our home,
Yeah.
and I would prefer it if you didn't take care of those skis for her. Like, this
Yeah.
is a weird situation.
You have every right.
But John was like, no, nothing's going on between us, and our relationship never got that serious. He said they simply dated in college, and he just felt like it would be easier to placate Stephanie versus getting into something bigger than necessary.
Yeah, it's always good to placate somebody instead of just being upfront and honest.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, definitely. If you're ever in a situation where it's like, should I placate this person?
Right.
Or just be honest?
Yeah.
Placate them.
Definitely placate them.
That's
that
the thing.
always
Did to
ends
Hitler.
up great.
This also tells me that he knew that Stephanie had a wild temper, because
Oh, yeah.
if you're worrying about getting into an argument with somebody because you're not going to wax their skis,
Because your fiance is uncomfortable with it?
like, I think most people would understand that.
Yeah.
But clearly
Yeah.
she's not somebody who is going to.
Something's up here.
So Sherry hoped that that would be the last time she saw Stephanie, but as we know, it was not. There were more occasions, 3 more. Stephanie stopped by the house a few days later to pick up her skis, and Sherry made it clear on that occasion that she was not welcome within the house.
Good.
This all happened outside, which, like, high five, Sherry. She assumed that this would be the last she saw of Stephanie.
Yeah.
But again, it was not.
Why?
Just a few days after that, John had already left for work, and Stephanie showed up in uniform a bit after he left at the townhouse. And she
Stop it.
told Sherry that she was on a break and just wanted to stop by and say hi to John, but she didn't expect Sherry to be there. Usually Sherry was at work at this time.
Oh.
At that point, Sherry started to
Ooh.
wonder if there was something going on between John and
Yeah.
his ex.
As
Did
one
she
would.
usually come over when Sherry had already left for work and John was still home? Or was this her entire intention, to make Sherry feel that way when it simply wasn't the case?
And that's the worst too, because your first initial reaction is always to get mad at the other person instead of directing it at the person you're with who you're supposed to trust.
Right.
And it's like, this must have been hard to just be like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
is it her being crazy and overbearing and like trying to cause issues, or is something
it
else
is.
happening?
I
Exactly.
think it is. I think she's saying. All right, so we've completed the game. We've once again completed the game. Again, we said we're not gonna do all stars. We did it for those 2 just because they were easy enough. Once I got here and I was having trouble here, I didn't feel like doing. It's just too much to do all stars. But everything is gold, which is nice. The next thing for me to do is, who did I unlock this late in the game? Oh yeah, sorry, Gold Mario. Thanks. Gross. Hate it. He just looks ugly. Yeah, hop on my bike. Is, I think, depending on how much money this is. Yeah, let's, can I buy this? How much is this? You can play new cups purchasing boost pack.
By signing up for the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. I thought I could just, like, it was a DLC to buy. So not like a DLC? Let me check. Let's check the store queue. This might be it for the day. It might just be a shorter day. Like, we popped through. We hit the things that we wanted to do. Mario. Mario Kart. Search. That's what I want, I think. I'm thinking I might buy this. Or we can finally do this thing. Is it Omori? That was Omari. We'll take a check. How much monies are you? Yeah, I'm supposed to, like, play this game. I can see, though, with, like, this, though, it's gonna be very much Undertale-like. I didn't actually play Undertale. I sat next to someone who played Undertale, so I didn't have the skill for the minigames. So I think this is when we can cut off the stream today. My head's kind of killing me. We completed Mario Kart. I'll probably be back. Until next time, God bless, and I'll see you in the nunnery. I guess, not like, that's it. Bye!